Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday, almost Friday. So today we're going to be talking about keystone species. Maybe you've heard of these, maybe you haven't. A few years back, there was an FRQ about how are beavers a keystone species, and a lot of people were upset about that. But beavers are a keystone species, and we'll talk today about why that is. All right, so first things first, what the heck is a keystone? All right, so this is something that, unless you study architecture from a long time ago, you probably don't right off know what this is. So back in the day when they would build archways out of stone, the keystone was the top brick that was kind of used to hold the entire arch together. And if you take the keystone out, the whole archway just crumbles. All right, so that's a keystone. It's this brick that if you take it out is just going to make the whole thing fall apart. So, based on what a real keystone is and your powers of deduction, what do you think a keystone species is? So you can answer either in the comments on Google Classroom or on YouTube if you're wherever you're watching. All right, so hopefully you did that. So we have some cute keystone species here. Otters are a keystone species, as are beavers. So they kind of look like wet cats, but cute. All right, so keystone species. It's a species whose activities play a very significant role in determining community structure. So basically, if you take out a keystone species, the rest of the ecosystem structure is kind of going to collapse. So typically, we have maybe two types of. There's more than two types, but these are where they're typically going to fall. So we have apex predators, or predators that are high on the trophic level. And they are going to keep in check the population size of their prey. So if there's no predators, the prey is going to increase, which can alter the plant communities. And this is called a trophic cascade. So we start at the top trophic level. If we remove it, there's going to be a cascade down the trophic level, the trophic levels that could affect the entire community structure. The other are ecosystem engineers, and these are going to be organisms that physically alter the ecosystem. So an example is like a prairie dog who burrows through the ground. That's going to aerate the soil, create burrows for other species. Beavers are also an example of ecosystem engineers. They build dams. That's going to change river flow, a bunch of other stuff. These two right here are going to be the predators at the high trophic levels that alter the community. So what happens when we lose our keystone? So, for example, sea otters. If we take away the sea otters, the sea urchins, which are the spiky things, they're going to overgraze the kelp. And then all the kelp is going to die. All of the sea urchins probably will die because there's no kelp left. And then we have basically a collapse of the community structure here. Again, this is called trophic cascade. You take out one piece and the effects are going to cascade down the rest of the trophic levels. A very common example of keystone species are the Yellowstone wolves. So they went extinct over 100 years ago. People thought that they were dangerous and killed them. So they were gone in the 1920s, I want to say, maybe 19 teens. And then in 1995, scientists were like, what would happen if we put them back into Yellowstone? Different species of wolves, obviously. So they introduced gray wolves into Yellowstone, and it caused extreme changes, trophic cascade again, in Yellowstone, because wolves are a keystone species. So it was things you wouldn't even think were changing. You'll watch a video. It's pretty crazy. Because of the wolves, the bees were affected. Crazy stuff like this. It really is a true cascade where if you take one piece away, everything else just kind of collapses. Now Yellowstone is thriving because the wolves are back. Okay, so yay, it's almost Friday. I want you guys to go to your interactive notebook. find the slides that say 10, 15. And then you're going to answer the questions about the wolves of Yellowstone. All right. If you have any questions, office hours 2 to 2:20, and I will see some of you today or tomorrow. Bye, guys.